Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered his fourth address to a joint session of the U.S. Congress on Wednesday. While defending Israeli actions in Gaza, he attempted to drum up continued support for his country's war against Hamas. Reiterating his total victory ambitions over Hamas, the Israeli leader urged the U.S. to fast-track its military aid. He said that with enough resources, Israel will be able to end the war immediately.
Fast-tracking U.S. military aid can dramatically expedite an end to the war in Gaza and help prevent a broader war in the Middle East. In World War II, as Britain fought on the front lines of civilization, Winston Churchill appealed to Americans with these famous words: "Give us the tools and we'll finish the job." Today, as Israel fights on the front line of civilization, I too appeal to America. Give us the tools faster and we'll finish the job faster.
The Israeli Prime Minister also sketched a vague outline of a plan for a quote-unquote de-radicalized post-war Gaza. Quashing the Hamas and Fatah factions' agreement to govern the Strip after de-escalation, Netanyahu said that Israel must retain control in Gaza to avoid the resurgence of terrorism.
The heritage sites in Ukraine, I believe there was a conversation at the Heritage Committee.
The day after we defeat Hamas,
talked about
a new Gaza can emerge. My vision for that day is of a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza. Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza, but for the foreseeable future, we must retain overriding security control there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
Immovable heritage, meaning the
Prime Minister Netanyahu also thanked the Biden administration over their support after the October 7th Hamas attacks. He extended his thanks to former President Donald Trump and the American people. This while also saying that Israel is Washington's most loyal and steadfast ally.
My friends, if you remember one thing from the speech, remember this: our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight, and our victory will be your victory.
However, in his fourth speech, the Israeli Prime Minister stood to address a divided Congress. Inside the Congress, U.S. Democratic Representative Rashida Tlaib held a sign calling Netanyahu a quote-unquote war criminal. She then turned the sign, of which the other side read guilty of genocide. As announced earlier, some House Democrats, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, boycotted the speech by giving the session a miss. Representatives also called the Israeli Prime Minister an obstacle in the truce deal, while condemning Washington's support of the war.
So speaking for myself only, the deep horrors of what is happening on the ground are not external to us, because the United States does remain the largest backer of military assistance to Israel, assistance that has been used to perpetrate these offensive attacks on a civilian population that's been denied even the most basic of humanitarian assistance. This is not a conflict that we Americans have nothing to do with. It's not a conflict that we're being called to come in and mediate from outside. We are actually a part of this.
We are talking about three sites which we have put earlier on the list in danger. These sites are in Kyiv as the capital and
anti-Israel protests gripped parts of Washington and near the U.S. Capitol. At the time of Prime Minister Netanyahu's address, while most protests remained peaceful, clashes erupted between the demonstrators and the police outside of the Capitol. The police used pepper spray, injuring some people who allegedly started to march towards the barricades. Thousands on the street demanded for the U.S. to stop military aid for Israel, while others demanded Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's
there was a
arrest
quite
and
an
his
intensive
resignation.
argument around how we formulate it. As you know, the multilateral relations
This comes as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took jabs at Iran for funding anti-Israel protesters in the United States. He also called the protesters, and I'm quoting here, Iran's useful idiots. He called on the global alliance to unite and stand against Tehran's quote-unquote axis of terror.
Iran is funding the anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building, not that many, but they're there, and throughout the city. Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.